Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? Joey Sugarmuck is back here with another video for you guys. And guys, it is Saturday. No, it is not. It is Wednesday night, and I know this is a rare occasion, but I figured I actually have some good time on my hands, and no duties tomorrow on Thanksgiving, of course. So I figured I would do my game picks for Wednesday night for the whole week and do an analysis of each game. Plus tomorrow, it's not just one random game; it's the triple header for Thanksgiving. So let's jump right on into it, guys. Without further ado, we'll just pretend today is a Saturday. Coming up with the first game at 12:30 Eastern of one of the three triple header games tomorrow, we have the 7-3 Bills at the 4-6 Lions. So, I'm just gonna say this for the whole slate of Thanksgiving games this year in general. I don't understand why so many people are like criticizing the schedule. Like people are like, "Oh my God, we're getting trolled. A bunch of bad games on Thanksgiving again." I'm very curious on why people are saying that because I actually think all of these games are going to be good. I wouldn't shock me if one or two of these games is kind of boring, but I actually think all three of these games are going to be entertaining and close games. I don't understand why people are fussing about it. There has been history of some Thanksgiving games being like really boring and not that evenly matched. I think this year is not going to be one of those years. I think we have three good games to look forward to this year. Anyways, for Bills line specifically, so the Bills have had a very wild past couple of weeks. They of course, had the crazy, crazy game against Minnesota, fell short in the end. And then they were supposed to host Cleveland and Buffalo next weekend, but then they just got an absolute walloping of lake effect snow and got like their park got like 5 feet of snow or something, just absolutely crazy. So they had to move the game. They moved the game to Detroit, so they actually played in Detroit on Sunday, and guess where the Bills are playing again tomorrow? In Detroit. It's kind of funny. I think they went back to Buffalo and then went back to Detroit, but it would have been interesting if they just stayed in Detroit the whole time. But the Bills are, I definitely think they've shown that they have flaws, and I don't know why some people at one point thought they were flawless. They're not. They're a good team, but they're not. I don't even know if they're elite. They're a beatable team, and they have been skidding a bit lately. They did seem to rebound okay against the Browns, but it was the Browns. They also need to figure out how to win these close games. And obviously against Minnesota, that was a clear indicator of why they can't seem to win these close games. Meanwhile, for the Lions, they're kind of the same way. They can't win close games. They can give teams competition, but in the close games, they almost always fall short. However, the Lions are hot right now. I know they're 4-6, but they are hot. They've won 3 in a row. They went in and dominated the Giants last week. Again, I don't think the Giants are honestly that good, but the Lions are playing well right now. So for that reason, the Bills are playing the Lions at kind of a bad time because the Lions are actually playing good football right now. It is in Detroit as well, but I'm still going to get the extra Buffalo on this one. I trust Josh Allen a lot more. Jared Goff is good, but he's also really inconsistent. So I'm going to go with the Bills pulling this one out 27-24, but it should be a good game. All right, guys, this is our second game of the Thanksgiving triple header. We have the 7-3 Giants at the 7-3 Cowboys. This should be another good game. I think both teams, are inconsistent. The Giants, of course, they were better than they've been in a long time. I still think they're not as good as their record indicates, though. I think they're an okay team. They're not elite by any means. And I've never been big on their quarterback. I don't think Daniel Jones is very good. They have Saquon Barkley, who's excellent. Their defense is pretty good, and I do like their coaching. I think Brian DeBoll is a good coach, and I do think Martindale is clicking with the defense just on some level. I know, there's been criticism about his scheme, but he does seem to be blending in well with the Giants. But the Giants are also kind of just got embarrassed by the Lions last week, so they're very much in need for a bounce back. Meanwhile, the Cowboys are complete opposite. I'm not going to say it was an upset for the fact that they won, but they just absolutely obliterated the Vikings last Sunday. Came out of nowhere. I was not expecting that at all. The Cowboys just absolutely destroyed them. So they're feeling pretty good about that. And the Cowboys, again, I think almost every year they're always overrated. I don't think they're going to go far in the playoffs this year because their quarterback is Dak Prescott. Prescott is not a winner, but in the regular season he's pretty good. And the Cowboys, being at home, they're playing good football right now. They're coming off a game where they just dominated on both sides of the ball. The Giants looked pretty bad last week. I think the Cowboys are a much better all-around team. So give me the Cowboys winning this game, guys. Let's go with Dallas, 31-17. Next game, guys, this is our last Thanksgiving game at night. We have the 6-4 Patriots at the 8-2 Vikings. This is going to be a very interesting game. For starters, I think the Vikings are the way better all-around team. I think they beat the Patriots in pretty much every position. However, there are a few issues here because primetime Kirk Cousins. Primetime Kirk Cousins, not good at all. I don't know what his exact stats are, but Kirk Cousins in primetime has almost never been good for whatever reason. He just does not play well at all. And then the Vikings, of course, are feeling pretty demoralized after they just got absolutely shellacked by the Cowboys last week at home, too. But they are at home again, so at least they didn't have to travel. But there's obviously some pretty big concern for the Vikings after that loss. And they were feeling great after that big win against Buffalo. But then after getting demolished by Dallas, you wonder, okay, which one is it, But then again, everyone has off games, and maybe just the Vikings were really, really off that day. For the Patriots, they, of course, won in, the most embarrassing way possible. 3-3 game into the final, 30 seconds, and then they return a punt for a touchdown. So, once again, the Patriots, it's the same thing. They get off to a rough start, and then they go on this little, mid to late season run, and people think, oh my god, the Patriots, they're good. No, they're not. Trust me, they are not that good. They just have an easy schedule and are, just getting cupcake wins. And once they play good teams, and if they even make the playoffs, they're not going to go far. Trust me. But anyways, the Patriots, right now, it's been their defense that's been leading them. Again, I think it's the same thing. Their defense, it feasts against the bad offenses, and then when they play good offenses, they can't do anything. This is gonna be a tough matchup though. So they are going up against a good offense with Cousins. I think is the weakness, but they of course Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. So we'll see how the Patriots respond. But the Patriots' offense has actually looked pretty bad the past several weeks. Their offense scored 3 points against the Jets last week. The Jets do have a pretty good defense, but the Patriots' offense has not been very good at all. And then the Vikings, again, if you talk to me after the Buffalo game, I would say I'd feel really good about this. Their offense is clicking. Their defense makes plays when it matters. They do let up a lot of big plays, but they also do know how to come up clutch. But then again, both of those were not in effect against Dallas last week. I really am back and forth here because I know primetime Kirk Cousins just is not good at all, but I really don't have a lot of faith in the Patriots. And on a short week, they've had an easy schedule the past several weeks, and now they're going to play against an actually good team. So I think I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think it's going to be a sloppy game. I think the bad primetime Kirk Cousins will continue. I think he'll struggle again. But give me the Vikings pulling this one out 21-17 in a low-scoring game. Okay, guys, now we're into our Sunday games. We have the 3-7 Broncos and the 3-8 Panthers. The battle of garbage here. The Broncos, they just absolutely suck. It's just, I don't know what happened to them. They maybe it's like they finally got the spotlight on them, and that's why they're underperforming big time. But basically, Russell Wilson's trash. Their defense isn't good, and they can't win close games. It's just all bad for the Broncos right now. They are out of control. The Panthers, meanwhile, aren't much better, but I also think that they're better than their record indicates. They have been in a fair amount of close games this year. And hey, they gave Baltimore a solid fight last week. They fell short in the end, but their defense actually played really, really well. And then their offense just couldn't do anything. But their defense actually has pieces. Derek Brown, Brian Burns, Jeremy Chin, who returned last week against Baltimore. So the Panthers, I actually think have a talented defense. Offensively, I actually think that they're talented too, but they don't have a quarterback. That's the problem. Mayfield is not the guy. And then they're going to start Sam Darnold this week, apparently. Trust me, Darnold is not the guy either. Who's the other guy? Is it P.J. Walker? He's not the guy either. Trust me. So the Panthers need a quarterback. Anyways, this game is in Carolina. The Panthers are a much better all-around team. The Broncos just cannot seem to get it going. So I'm going to go with the Panthers here. Let's go with Carolina 27-17. Next game, guys, we have the 5-5 Bucks at the 3-7 Browns. So the Bucks, they're starting to play better. They were 3-5 at one point, weren't they? They of course had that big win against the Seahawks in Munich, that Germany game. That was so fun to watch. And then they had a bye in the past couple weeks. I don't know if it was last week. I don't know. But they have had their bye. The Browns, meanwhile, are once again underperforming big time. I know they don't have Deshaun Watson, but I still think in general as a team they're underperforming. Their defense is underperforming, and offensively, it just seems like without I know quarterbacks is of course a very important position, but their passing game, Brissett can't seem to get them the ball. And then of course, Watson is coming back soon. I think it's week 12, right? So giving game picks for week 12, yes. Watson got suspended 12 games, so I think he'd be eligible to return next week, if not the week after. So there should be some hope for the Browns, but I also don't think that they've been good enough that they're going to go on a run. I really don't think they are. I think it's going to take some time for Watson to settle in. So it's not going to be the Browns' year, but they're still going to play for pride. But at the same time, the Bucs are in win now mode. They know they can still get a playoff spot for sure. The NFC is open. So give me Tampa Bay winning this game, guys. Let's go with Tampa Bay 24-20. Should be a pretty good game, though. All right, guys, here we go. Next game, we have the 7-3 Ravens at the 3-7 Jaguars. So Ravens won 4 in a row, and there was a bye in there as well. Last week, obviously, some rust and some disappointment from the offensive standpoint. Only scored 13 points offensively, and some of those points were handed to us because the defense, got a turnover deep in Carolina territory, so that gave us kind of a short field to work with. But at the same time, a win is a win. And, coming off a bye, sometimes the offense can be rusty, so I'm not shocked. Hopefully this week he can settle back in. Again, it's the same thing every week. My biggest concern with this team is the health. It's just almost every single game someone else goes down, or 2 people or 3 people go down, and it's an injury that's at least somewhat serious. We did get good news on the injuries last week. Stanley and Hamilton, apparently they're both pretty minor injuries, and they should only miss like a week or 2. They're probably not going to play this weekend, but it obviously could have been a lot worse. But then again, I have no reason to believe that this week we won't lose another guy. It's just, I don't know what it is. Maybe we're cursed or something, but we just cannot stay healthy. It's very, very frustrating. Meanwhile, the Jaguars, they had a very quirky start to the year, and they were 2-1 at one point, and they did, people had to, look at them a little bit, but they've kind of fallen off since then. Trevor Lawrence, again, he got off to a decent start. He has not been good since. Their defense really isn't that good. They have some young talent offensively. They got, of course, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, or Etienne, I don't know how to say it. So the Jaguars, again, they do have some talent, but they're not a well-coached team, and they're just not that good all around. And I don't think Trevor Lawrence is honestly that good. He thinks he's good, and he's really cocky. I really don't think he's that good. And the Ravens, I know in the past, for some reason, the Jaguars have kind of given us a hard time. But then again, the last time we played the Jaguars, we did beat them easily. I don't think we're going to beat them too easily this week, but I do think we're going to get the win. We're somewhat hot right now. We've won 4 in a row. The defense is playing its best ball all season, and really its best ball that it's played in a long time. And we're coming together as a team. Hopefully, David Ojabo will make his debut this week. I thought he was going to make it last week. He didn't. But there's also a good chance that Gus Edwards will be back. To kind of jolt the running game. And even if there's no Ronnie Stanley, Dobbins should be back soon too. McCary can hold it down, and I think Stanley will be back soon as well. So I think the Ravens are going to win this game. Better all-around team. Again, have won 4 in a row. The Jaguars, I just don't think are very good. So give me Baltimore winning this game. Let's go with the Ravens 28-17. Next game, guys, we have the 1-8-1 Texans at the 7-3 Dolphins. So the Texans obviously are horrible. They're just in rebuild mode. They're not even really trying at this point. Dolphins, meanwhile, 7-3. They're playing good football. They, of course, got up to a very good start. Then they kind of cooled off in the middle, but now they're going on a run again. Tagovailoa has been playing very, very well. He's obviously having a career year. And man, that wide receiver duo with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill it seems unstoppable. It's so good. Tyreek Hill is just playing out of his mind right now, man. You just can't seem to stop him. With the game being in Miami and the Texans absolutely sucking, I don't think this game will be close. Give me the Dolphins winning this game, guys, 35-10. Next game, guys, we have the 3-8 Bears at the 6-4 Jets. So the Bears obviously are horrible. And then apparently we just found out today Justin Fields is dealing with a pretty significant shoulder injury. Apparently there's like some dislocation in the muscles. He says he's going to play through it. I don't know if I agree with that decision, especially since, Fields is young. So I feel like it'd be better if, called it a season this year, got surgery, and then he came out firing next year. The Bears season is foiled. They're not going to go anywhere, clearly. But Fields, it sounds like he's playing through. I just hope that he doesn't re-aggravate it, make it worse. Because, he's a bright young star, and he definitely has potential. The Jets, meanwhile, are starting to cool off a little bit. They got off to, a pretty solid start, but they have been struggling since. Offensively, it's been the biggest issue. Their defense has actually been pretty good, to be fair, but their offense is not picking them up. And the biggest problem is they don't have a quarterback. And then some new developments this week. Zach Wilson is not going to start Sunday. Basically, Wilson played so badly against the Patriots. There is something about it. Zach Wilson, I mean, I don't think he's very good in general, but he is so bad against New England, man. I don't know what it is, but New England has his number big time. But anyways, so Zach Wilson is not going to start. It's going to be Mike White. They chose Mike White over Joe Flacco for some reason. I don't know why. But another reason for Wilson, he's not getting benched just because he's bad. It's also because, he kind of had like a really egotistical, attitude to it. And he was asked like, oh, do you feel like you let down the defense? And he was basically saying, no, it wasn't my fault, which is laughable because the Patriots literally scored 3 offensive points, and yet the Jets still managed to lose. So what does that mean? The offense was really bad. And it starts with the quarterback. The Jets have plenty of talent on offense. They got Michael Carter at running back, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, and as wide receivers. So the Jets, again, they're a very talented team. They need a quarterback. I don't think Mike White or Joe Flacco are going to cut it either, but they're probably better than Zach Wilson. Anyways, I think this is a great opportunity for the Jets to bounce back after that loss last week. They're at home, so give me the Jets winning this game, guys. Pretty easily. Let's go with the Jets, 24-13. Okay, next game, guys, we have the 6-4 Bengals at the 7-3 Titans. So the Bengals, 6-4 now. They're coming off a pretty good win against the Steelers last week. Their offense played really well. But defensively, there definitely has to be some cause for concern. They kind of made Kenny Pickett look like a star. Not going to lie. Their defense was not very good last week. Titans, meanwhile, are playing pretty good football right now. Of course, Derrick Henry is, as good as always. Of course, they have the long break because they played last Thursday against Green Bay and won. And again, Henry's been playing really well. Tannehill, obviously not great, but he's been getting the job done. Their defense, when healthy, has been pretty good as well. I am going to go with the Titans here, guys, because the Bengals, their defense was good, and it can be inconsistent, and it's inconsistent, but it has not been good lately. They've been letting up a lot of big plays, and despite their front four looking really good on paper, it just did not really translate last week against the Steelers, and I think the Titans are going to get this win. Another thing to keep in mind is these two teams met, of course, in the divisional round last year, and the Bengals beat them defensively mostly. They scored 19 points, but that was also back when the Bengals were playing really good defense. Right now, the Bengals are not playing good defense, and the Titans, with Henry fully healthy, I do think are going to give them a pretty hard time on the ground, and Tannehill could have his way through the air. The Titans' defense, of course, is much better than it used to be. I think it'll be decently high scoring here, but give me the Titans winning this game. Let's go with Tennessee, 31-28, but it should be a very good game. Next game, guys, we have the 5-6 Falcons at the 6-5 Commanders. So the Falcons, 5-6, they still could get into the playoffs, though. They could win their division. Their division is so bad this year. You have the Bucs, the Falcons, the Saints, and the Panthers. None of those teams are good besides the Bucs, who are okay. The Falcons are very mediocre as well. Yet they still find themselves on the cusp of possibly winning their division. Imagine that. The Commanders, meanwhile, are having a little bit of a surge here. They've won, I don't know how many in a row, but they're playing pretty good football right now. They're now over 500. It's in Washington, and the Commanders know they need to stay ahead of the pace. Obviously, their division is very tough. They got the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Giants, and then the Commanders. They have pretty much no chance to win the division, and now that I think about it, making the playoffs would be pretty hard to come by. Because the rest of the NFC East will probably occupy 3 seeds, and then you have, other divisions as well, because, 3 other teams have to make it, so it's going to be tough for the Commanders to sneak in, but they're still going to give it a go. It's in Washington. The Commanders are playing good football right now. Give me Washington winning this game, guys, 27-20. Next game, guys, now we're moving into our later games. We have the 5-5 Chargers and the 4-7 Cardinals. So the Chargers, I watched most of the Sunday night game last week against the Chiefs that they played, but I didn't get to see the end of it. I don't know what happened to the Chargers. They had the game. They were leading for a good amount of the time, but then they kind of fell short in the end. Herbert, again, struggles in the big games, man. It's always been a thing of his. But anyways, the Cardinals are no better. In fact, they're worse. They have they're just spiraling out of control right now. The good news is, at least I think it's good news, Kyler Murray is coming back. Apparently, he practiced in full this week, and he should be back. So that's good news for them. Because Colt McCoy, I mean, he played pretty well his first game, but he's not actually that good, if we're being honest. But the Cardinals defensively are not playing well, and offensively they're not playing very well. Hopkins is very frustrated with the team. And the Cardinals, I just think, are very demoralized. The Chargers, I think, are kind of demoralized as well because they're underperforming yet again. But I'm going to go with the Chargers winning this game. They're desperate for a win. The Cardinals are just, again, pretty out of control right now. So give me the Chargers winning this game. Let's go with LA 30-23. Next game, guys, we have the 3-7 Raiders at the 6-4 Seahawks. So the Raiders, feeling at least somewhat okay about themselves after that big win against the Broncos last week in overtime. Davante Adams caught the game-winning touchdown, and then talked some smack after, if you saw that. Seahawks, meanwhile, so they lost against the Bucks in Munich 2 weeks ago. I think they had a bye after that because I don't remember seeing them play last week. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they had a bye. Excuse me. I think they had a bye the week after, but maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyways, they're at home here. The Raiders, obviously, they're feeling pretty good about that win last week, but they're still not a good team. They have not been playing well in general. Seattle looking for a bounce back. So give me Seattle winning this game, guys. Let's go with Seattle 24-14. Next game, guys, this is we have the 3-7 Rams and the 8-2 Chiefs, but there is a catch. The Rams are going to be without Matthew Stafford. He's dealing with, I think, like a concussion or neck injury, so they're holding him out for precautionary reasons. And there is a chance that they just hold him out for a while because the Rams' season is pretty much foiled at this point, and head and neck injuries you have to be very, very careful of. So prayers to Stafford, and hopefully he has a speedy recovery. Chiefs, meanwhile, 8-2. Again, I think in general they're playing a lot like they were from 2018 through 2020, where they're very dominant on offense and their defense is not very good, but it's at least good enough. And they're now sitting here at 8-2. They're the top seed in the AFC right now, as far as I know. It's in Kansas City. The Rams are having a very disappointing season. They're on the road, and they're not that healthy. Of course, no Matthew Stafford, and they got some other injuries as well. So the Chiefs should be able to win this game pretty easily. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. Give me Kansas City winning this game, guys. 31-14. Next game, guys, we have the 4-7 Saints at the 6-4 49ers. So the Saints, obviously, a disappointing year. They have a lot of talent, but they're not playing well as a team right now. And then quarterback wise, they're not it. Andy Dalton is not it. Taysom Hill is not it. He's a very versatile guy who can play a lot, but he's not like an actual number one quarterback, or starting quarterback. And then Jameis Winston isn't that guy either. So for the Saints, they have a lot of pieces, but they don't play very well as a team. The Niners, meanwhile, are having a little bit of a surge here. They looked great Monday night against the Cardinals. They dominated on both sides of the ball. Their running game is really coming alive. George Kittle is healthy, and when George Kittle is healthy, he is elite. Probably the best tight end in football, if you ask me. The Niners, man, it's always, every year, they always, don't look great, but they are a scrappy team, and they always seem to find a way to fight their way into the playoffs. And the NFC West this year is definitely taking a big step back. It's not remotely as good as it usually is. And I think the Niners, the Seahawks are there, but I'd have to bet on the Niners winning the Super Bowl, right? Not winning the Super Bowl, sorry, winning the division. They're not going to win the Super Bowl, but I do think the Niners are going to win the division because the Cardinals suck, the Rams suck, and Seattle, is okay, but I think the Niners will get the better of them in head-to-head matchups. So the Niners know that they need to keep surging. They're at home. They're feeling really good after that win against the Cardinals on Monday night. So give me the Niners winning this game, guys. Let's go with San Francisco 27-13. Okay, guys, this is our Sunday night football game. We have the 4-7 Packers at the 9-1 Eagles. So the Packers, they were feeling great after that win against Dallas a couple weeks ago, but then they fell short on Thursday night against the Titans, which was pretty embarrassing. The Eagles, meanwhile, 9-1, though the past 2 weeks they've definitely shown some vulnerability. Of course, they suffered their first loss of the season against the Commanders, but then they barely beat the Colts last week. And again, I'm not gonna go out and say here, oh my God, the Eagles, another fraudulent team. They were 8-0, they're total frauds, they're not that good. I don't think that's true. I think the Eagles are a good team, but it just shows they're not unbeatable. There is no unbeatable, purely dominant team anymore. That's just not the case. That was the old NFL with, Tom Brady and the Patriots and just past history of quarterbacks as well. That is no longer the case. There is no purely dominant team that almost never loses. So the Eagles here, from their standpoint, they're at home. They know they need to play a bit better. They entered a little 2-game skid. I think that they will definitely snap out of it. The Packers defensively are very banged up. They didn't play very well against Tennessee last week either. And with them being at home, and the Eagles definitely ready for a bounce back, Eagles should be able to win this game pretty easily. So give me Philadelphia winning this one 34-17. Okay, guys, this is our last game, Monday Night Football. We have the 3-7 Steelers and the 4-6-1 Colts. So the Steelers falling short last week against the Bengals. Offensively, they got to feel pretty good. They had one of their best offensive games that they've had in a while. The running game was alive, and Kenny Pickett played his best game in his Steelers career. He was actually playing pretty well. But meanwhile, their defense just decided to, stay at their houses because their defense was horrible, which was really interesting because I think their defense was healthier than it had been all year. T.J. Watt was back, Minka Fitzpatrick was back. They did not play well defensively at all. Meanwhile, the Colts. It's in Indianapolis. The Colts, of course, moved on from Frank Reich a few weeks ago. And since then, there hasn't been any real improvement. And, they had the game in the bag against the Eagles last week, and they fell short to lose by 1 point. They obviously have talent with Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, and on defense, but they have a lot of health issues. Taylor is not always healthy. Shaquille Leonard has been out with, I think, a back injury. So the Colts are having a hard time staying healthy. I don't think that they're well coached. They don't have a true number one quarterback. But then again, the Steelers are not that much better either. This is going to be a pretty boring game if you ask me. But I guess I'll go with the Colts. They're at home, and I guess why not? So give me the Colts winning this game in a low-scoring one. 20-13. And guys, that is going to do it for this video. I know, a nice Wednesday night full breakdown for Thanksgiving week. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And have a great night. Thank you so much for watching. Go Ravens. Have a great Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Hope everyone enjoys the holiday. And I will see you on Sunday after the Ravens game.